Hello and welcome to Highly Questionable. This person right here, she claims she will not be gotten by Boppy on the fake handshake today. That's Mina Kimes. What do you like on the show today, Mina?
You are not going to get me this week.
Let's scratch my face, Mina just said. She has not given any consideration to what the joke is going to look like on television.
You're not going to be like that.
Lelo, papi. Lelo.
Is the Nick Mullins era officially over?
Okay, he continues to call him Mullins, even though it is Mullins. That was a dreadful game last night between two very broken teams. But what I took from it, as I have throughout Kyle Shanahan's tenure in San Francisco, is this guy is an absolute quarterback whisperer. He did it for Matt Ryan, who hasn't looked the same since this guy left his side. And Bill Belichick traded Jimmy Garoppolo there for lesser than what he could have gotten because he wanted this guy in safe hands. If there is an heir to the Belichick throne, it's going to look like someone like this guy, someone who can make any quarterback look competent. Those two interceptions last night, those weren't even his fault necessarily.
It's possible that we may have overhyped Nick Mullins after facing the Raiders. That defense is like quarterback PEDs, which isn't to say he was terrible last night. He was pretty solid. He missed a few throws. He held on to the ball a little bit too long. But he's an undrafted quarterback, and that was his second game. He was playing next to an undrafted running back, throwing to a bunch of late-round receivers. If I'm a Niners fan, I'm thrilled with the offense. It's the defense, which is loaded with a bunch of first-round draft picks, that's been disappointing. But Nick Mullins, I expect to see him a lot between now and the end of the season. And then next year, I expect to see him in Tampa Bay or Jacksonville.
Is it a big deal that Draymond Green and Kevin Durant were bickering on the bench last night?
Sean Livingston said it was team spirit, and this team wins so much and is so bored by winning that when they lose, they have to have something that's a little bit combustible. So you get Draymond Green, who knows himself well enough to say that when Boogie Cousins arrived there was going to be conflict because Draymond Green goes looking for emotional conflict. And there he is, voice of reason and peacemaker. Boogie Cousins dragging Draymond Green away from Kevin Durant. I love this, though, Mina. It shows that they care in the middle of the season.
Is it a big deal? No. But I did enjoy Steve Kerr saying after the game that Durant had to stay on a little bit longer despite being in foul trouble because the Warriors were, quote, a little short-handed without Steph. Describing the Warriors as being short-handed when they, God forbid, they have to play with 4 superstars instead of 5 is like complaining about running out of champagne on a yacht. It's the ultimate first world problem. I will say this, though. While they should still be able to win games without Steph, it's obvious that his absence does create some problems mentally, right? Because he might not be the best player on the team, but he's obviously the emotional core, and one gets the sense that if he wasn't there, you'd see little squabbles like this a little bit more often.
Did Mina really try and do quote marks with tape on her hands while saying short-handed with no sense of irony when she couldn't reach up higher to make the quote marks where they should be, which is up here?
That I did.
Durant, you better be careful because Draymond got a quick move with his leg. You know, he can kick you, you know where, you know, in the junk. You know what I mean?
You know where.
That's
and
right.
if you didn't know where, the junk.
How worried should the 76ers be about Markel Fox shooting stroke?
I am really concerned about the way my father pronounces that last name on television. This made me cringe last night. Philadelphia hands Miami its 3rd straight home loss. And Markel Fultz, a guy that we have wondered whether he is short-circuiting a little bit with his shooting, says he just slipped here, Mina. Says he just slipped, but I believe the worst. It's the one guy in the league who can't slip in that situation because not a lot of us have seen a free throw that looks like that.
So I was flying to Miami last night when I saw Fultz trending on Twitter, and I instantly knew something terrible had happened. It's like when you see an old person's name trending and you assume the worst, which is a horribly dark analogy, but somehow not dark enough based on what I saw. It was so bad that as soon as it happened, news broke that Markel Fultz reportedly has not been working with his shooting coach for a while, which basically means the shooting coach saw the shot and wanted to distance himself from it as quickly as possible. Now, I don't know what it will take to fix Markel Fultz, but I imagine millions of people rubbernecking at him like a traffic accident is probably not helping.
It's one of the most vulnerable things you will ever see across sports. When a second baseman forgets how to throw it to first base or when a golfer gets the yips. You do not see this in basketball, but seeing a guy this mentally frail in front of a public that right now in social media is willing to mock, it makes you wonder what it does to his confidence, because the free throw line is a place where you have time to think. The other stuff is reflexes.
I want to cover my eyes, but I literally can't.
Well, maybe he gets a little bit nervous when people are watching him. You know, that won't be a problem in the G League when they bring him down.
It won't be a problem.
That's right. You know,
nobody will be watching.
Big crowds watching.
If we could just keep him out of NBA arenas, we're good.
Do you feel badly for Nathan Peterman?
You can make the argument that since the merger, there has never been a worse professional quarterback in the sport. Nobody who is paid for passes has the interception rate that this guy's got. And if you look at the numbers, Aaron Rodgers would have to throw on his next 1,200 passes, all interceptions, to have the interception rate. That's 2 seasons full of every pass of Aaron Rodgers being an interception to be as bad as this guy. You're allowed to laugh. It's worst in the history of the sport kind of bad.
For me, Nathan Peterman is sort of like the Markelle Fultz shot of quarterbacks insofar as I'm kind of tired of making fun of him. It's not really funny anymore. And yes, he has been historically bad and deserves criticism. But the organization that put him in a position to fail over and over and over deserves far more scorn. The same organization that benched Tyrod Taylor for him last year when the Bills were making a playoff run. The same organization that traded A.J. McCarron before the season. Peterman's gone. He'll probably be back. But that organization is still in place.
Think about what she's saying. The Bills made the playoffs for the first time in 17 years last year. Their leadership decided that the quarterback who made them that kind of good should sit for Nathan Peterman. They had an ally, though, in 2017. You could go back and read the quotes. John Gruden was all in on this guy.
How did Hugh Jackson get a job so quickly?
Okay, in the division that birthed the Rooney Rule, you should be amazed that we have arrived in 2018 where it's the black guys who benefit from the old boys network. These guys go way back, and so of course Marvin Lewis would want his friend at his side if he's available because Marvin Lewis helped him a long time ago, and as an added bonus, Cincinnati doesn't actually care about winning. They've proven by not paying anybody and just going in bare minimum that this is a business more than it is a competitive enterprise. That's how Marv Lewis and Andy Dalton stay employed without any playoff victories.
So there are 3 possible explanations for this. The normal brain take is that Jimmy Haslam wanted to bring his friend back into the fold. Same with Marvin Lewis. The big brain take is that defenses in the NFL are so bad right now that they thought, hey, let's bring in an offensive guy, which is actually not a terrible idea. The galaxy brain take is that between now and the end of the season, Cincinnati is playing Cleveland twice. There is no one on earth who knows how to make the Browns lose like Hugh Jackson. He's done it for 2.5 years. Why stop now?
Hey, Nathan Peterman, if Hugh Jackson can get a job, you can get another one. I believe in you. Hang in there tough. Hang in there tough. That's right.
I believe in you.
Coming up next on Highly Questionable.
What made me a fighter, you know, it was because of my daughter. It was solely because of my daughter what got me into boxing. You know, she was born with spina bifida. And I was in college at the time, and you know, listening to the doctors and hearing what all that it took to take care of a child with spina bifida, I wasn't going to be able to make no money in school.
My Son's TV show is brought to you by Charge 3. Know yourself to improve yourself. Joining us at the beach today, Deontay Wilder.
December 1st, Tyson Fury, pay-per-view. Let's check out this guy. He's a good talker. He does not like Mina, though. Get her out of here.
I can't go anywhere.
Deontay, before you got into boxing, you had some rough jobs. What was the worst of those jobs?
The worst of those jobs, you know, I used to work for a Mercedes company that dealt with different parts and stuff like that called AI3. And I think that was probably the worst job, you know, out of the ones that I had to pick up to support my daughter. Only for the simple fact that, you know, I had to get on the dollies and stuff like that. In this facility at the time, you know, it was filled with polluted smoke and stuff. You can stand on one end of the building and look down, you see all the environment polluted. And, you know, on the dollies, you know, you had the forklift. I was the forklift driver, so I had to pick up the parts and stuff for the cars. And I always had to rotate around, you know, and it was too much. You know, it used to always make me sick and different things like that, so I had to get up out of there. That was about the only one.
So what can you tell us about the days before fighting, before you realized, because you didn't like fighting at the beginning, right?
Right. You know, I never looked for trouble, but trouble always found me. You know, I was prone to fighting. You know, I wasn't no stranger to no fight. You know, I never shied away from no fight. But you're correct. I didn't like fighting because, you know, it brought bodily harm to people, and I knew what I was capable of doing. Even at a younger age, you know, I always was that wild child that you didn't want to mess with.
So how many tests are you losing in your childhood?
None. You know, there's a lot of people say I'm 50-0, and I mean, and the streetwise and all this and stuff. But you know, I can really say that, you know, I'm undefeated. You know, in a negative sense, and I'm undefeated in a positive sense. I call it a negative sense because, you know, I wasn't getting no money for it, and it didn't benefit my life. If anything, it would have brought a lot of troubles my way. With the positive, you know, I transformed that. It's almost like playing street basketball and then joining a team, whether it's high school or college, and you become organized. You play organized basketball. So the transformation to being a fighter and being able to have people to look up to me, have people that I can motivate and come from the same place I can, you know, it's uplift them and give them some type of direction. So I consider this positive.
It's unusual that you would be this kind of undefeated, this kind of brash, and I assume those things had a lot to do with shaping you.
Well, you know, it all plays a part. You know, anything you go in your life, whether it is positive, negative, it plays a part and it affects your life. What made me a fighter, you know, it was because of my daughter. It was solely because of my daughter what got me into boxing. You know, she was born with spina bifida, and I was in college at the time, and you know, listening to the doctors and hearing what all that it took to take care of a child with spina bifida, I wasn't going to be able to make no money in school. You know, so I had to stop and get a job, and that's when all the multiples of jobs came about because you know, I told myself, I promised myself that I'd never struggle in life, no matter how many jobs I had to get. You know, I've overcame all that. You know, it's a lot of stuff that I've overcame, and I'm just glad to be here. But my daughter, she was the true reason to it. I told her when she was 1 year old that I'd be a world champion, not knowing that how I would get there or what would be the plan of me getting there, because boxing was new to me. You're talking to a guy that didn't even know nothing about the Olympics. You know, I knew about Muhammad Ali and in the Olympics, just little stuff that they promoted about him, but I didn't really know the true meaning about what was the Olympics and what was the purpose of it, how you got there, you know. I remember being in the gym, we having a discussion in 2007 of how you make it to the Olympics. But we knew one thing, that if we kept winning, we'll find out everything that we needed to know, and that's what we did. We kept winning, and here I am.
Big, tough Deontay Wilder. Everyone knows you are very good at what you do, and you are a strong man. But you go weak when talking about fighting for your daughter. Can you explain to us exactly how that came to be, where you realized, oh, I've got to go earn this living for her with my hands?
Man, you know, it's the saying that you don't know what love is until you have a child, you know. And that just the hammer on the nail right there, because the love I have for my children is ridiculous. I feel like I had them. I really feel like I had my children. I feel like I'm the mother goose when it comes to my children. I don't play about when it comes to them, you know. I feel that them being so young that I have the ability to instill to them whatever I want to, and I choose to instill in them love. I choose to instill in them peace. I choose to instill in them to be able to love everyone, you know, and just love my kids is everything for me.
When there,
highly questionable is broadcast from the Clevelander Hotel on beautiful South Beach, Miami. Time to play the game that solemnly swear is up to no good. Do you question?
You give us topics and events, we question it.
Watch those hands.
Do you question if this kid is a better prospect than Mark Kerr?
Again, that name is just so dangerous. The front end, the back end. Please stop repeating it. Let's check in with the Pelicans and the Raptors last night. The Pelicans smoked the Raptors. First home loss for the Raptors this season. And this, this is the Filipino Basketball League.
Literally seconds ago, I said I was tired of making it. I mean, it went in, right?
Man, that's tough.
What's tough?
Well, I wish I had an athletic son.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good Lord. I didn't see that one coming.
Videos, you know?
I didn't see that one
all
coming.
the time
yes.
I wasted with you,
Great.
you know?
Yes, I too wish I had a proud father.
Do you question if this is an impressive punt return for a touchdown?
Division III football. Poppy had a big bet on this game. This is a punt out of one of the end zones and a punt return for a touchdown. Is it valid?
All right. Not a great snap. And not very far.
Where did it? Wait a minute.
That was
I have never seen that before.
Punter safety?
That's a touchdown, isn't it? He downs the ball in the end zone. That's a touchdown. That's not a punter safety.
That's a touchdown.
What did it hit? Did it hit something? Did it hit something?
No, I think it just spun back.
It was just incompetence? That's it?
How do you mark that on a box score?
I thought that you were supposed to be the football expert.
Right, she's got a podcast. She does it with her dog.
Right.
Get her football expertise via podcast.
I can't use my hands today.
Do you question if this motorcycle can legally drive in the carpool lane?
I really don't feel like any show in the history of ESPN has covered motorcycles or carpool lanes better than this one has. Let's check out this motorcycle here.
Oh.
There it is. There it is. Mina's a sucker for dogs.
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Absolutely can drive in the carpool lane.
Those are good boys right there.
Good boys. Oh, do I question? Of course. I mean, they could use helmets.
Yes, unsafe. She does question it.
Yeah, I do
Mina
question
found a
it,
way
yeah.
to question the charming video.
They don't need taillights, though.
You know, those dogs remind me of another doggy that I know very well. You know who that dog is? Huh?
Oh, good boy. Oh, you're going to scratch it right now. What a good, oh, look at this, slow motion. I took this video, Poppy. Look how
That's a
happy
great
this
video.
guy
Look
is.
at him.
Oh, what an athlete. Look at that vertical. That's me in that video right next to
Oh,
me.
that's you?
Oh.
Why is her dog
Hey guys, it's me, Lonnie, and I was complicit.
Oh! He was complicit. He's admitted it. Oh!
What incarnation was that?
He got proof it wasn't doctored at
What?
all.
Okay.
Yes, Lenny was complicit.
Okay.
Time to play the game that sold one of Dan's kidneys in the black market. See? Oh, no.
You tell us what to watch on television tonight. That was a little jovial given the claim, no?
In the Dominican Republic, youth baseball.
I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but I believe that these kids in the Dominican just produced the single greatest slide in the history of baseball. Wait for it here. There's a stealing of home situation.
Whoa.
Yeah!
Wow.
That is amazing. Kids must dream about that stuff. You got to call him out there, though. He missed the plate. Got to call him out. Doesn't matter. Mina, are you intrigued? Oh, she can't. Yeah.
No.
She can't pick
I
up.
can do it. I can do it.
Okay.
No.
All right. Very good, Mina. Thank you. Poppy, are you intrigued?
Oh, see, I'm very intrigued. Are you kidding me? The Marlins, they should sign that kid. You know, he could start the center fielder. You know, probably he's very cheap. You know what I mean? That's what Jeter is looking for. Cheap players. Doesn't matter what, you know. He fits the bill.
Wow, my father very amused there. He does fit the bill. He's probably cheap.
He's too good for the Marlins.
Streaming on Animal Planet, Intruders.
Intruders. No explanation. Just intruders. Okay. Under normal circumstances, you don't want intruders. But what if you don't have to have them in your house? You can just watch them on TV. I think all the other rattlesnakes were making fun of this guy when he got home from work. Man, Bob, you got that commercial in the toilet with that reenactment? Mina, are you intrigued?
Yes, a snake comes in the middle of the night. What is this, the Lakers? Huh?
Really?
Kind of.
Really?
Yeah,
Dale, Papi. Are you intrigued? Papi, are you
Oh,
intrigued?
see, I'm very intrigued. Listen, I hadn't seen Drew Rosenhaus in a long, long time. Finally, I get to see him coming out of a toilet, you know what I mean? Boy, Drew, I miss you for many months. Now, finally, I know where you live. Oh.
Come on.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for watching.
She's here the rest of the week. We'll get her.
Is anyone still here? Someone untape me? No? Poppy?